everyone, today our group going to present about the significance of virginity. So let's start.
If we look for the definition in the dictionary, the word virgin refers to a person who has not had sexual intercourse before. But why does it matter? I believe that we all heard many ideas about how significant our virginity is, especially among women. In Western, people might think losing virginity is not a big deal. The opening of the hymen is just a physical process in the body, while many countries in Asia still stuck with the idea of keeping virginity until getting married. The concept of preserving virginity is linked to morality. Morality is principles relating to right and wrong or good and bad behavior. It plays a vital role in humans' perspective widely. Let's look at Islam first. There are about 42% of entire population in Southeast Asia which are Islamic. Islamic people believe that women have a strength that men do not have and women are valuable as a treasure. This means that women are taught to love themselves and men are taught to protect and preserve their women. As a result, once they are together or get married, they would have a peaceful relationship since they believe that both sides are valuable and belong to each other. If you know that your husband values you this much, you would behave well too. Therefore, this traditional principle, morality, helps people to have self-esteem and know the other's value, so they do not cross the line of others and be loyal. I have one more example for you. In Thailand, Sin 5 of the 5 moral precepts of Buddhism, rule number 3 is you cannot have a romantic relationship with others' partner. You must be loyal, honest, and love in your soulmate only. Consequently, religion is an effective belief to protect people from doing negative things and be together unitively. In addition, throughout history, there have been cultures that prohibit sexual activity outside of the marriage, preserving virginity, which is caused by the connection between science and culture that continues to have an impact today. In the scientific term, the function of the hymen is to keep germs and dirt out of the vagina. In infants and children, the hymen is functions to protect by helping to prevent objects from being pushed into the vagina. Sometimes a damaged hymen is looked at as an indicator of abuse and incest.
So now let's move on to the indigenous of virginity. And our group think that the word virginity also has something that related with the idea of feminine. And since Homo sapien, it has been widely known that males are the strongest gender because they do all the huntings and making tools, and women were assumed to control more domestic chores and busy in raising child. As we can see that many pictures were painted by males. And the evolution of masculines has been portraying through painting and sculpture by scientists and artists. That's why we all have the idea that males are superior to women. However, this need to be looked at another point of view, which is more feminine side. So, according to Kernel 2017, there is also a proof that women also have like the same role or equally to men. And there is one art that has been found at El Castillo cave in Spain, and this one seems to be made by women, which become one of the oldest rock in the world, dating for 41,000 years old. And because of this, it might prove the idea that males are doing all the painting because women busy raising child. So this one might prove that point. Another strong aspect that support the idea of feminine has been written by Anonymous from Meaningful Life Center. The author said that without women, Homo sapien could hardly be here today. And he also found some source from the article called Is Father Necessary and the book called The End of Men. And from these two sources, the author made a point that if there is no man left, women can continue the generation of first and sperm. But if there is no woman left, there is nothing left. And I think he really made the point of that. So now from these two evidence, our group has developed the idea that even in Homo sapiens, the reason that men want to be masculine is because of affection and sex. So they just want to look protective and strong to just simply impress women, and therefore this concludes the idea that men are dominated by women, even up until nowadays. Now, the idea of feminine superior to masculine has been put on. Let us introduce another idea that was held during the Stone Age. According to the research about losing virginity to the wrong partner, it reveals that most college women are likely not having sex on their first date because they must make sure that the guy was the right one. It leads to the research about the structure of the brain in the Stone Age, about the revolution in the thinking process, and it shows that women in the Stone Age were suffering in pain due to the giving birth process and pregnancy for almost 40 weeks. Combining these two, feminine superior to the masculine and fear in giving birth, it becomes the idea of virginity, a sign of respect that leads to human right that has been adapted into each society in nowadays. So after the Stone Age, let's move on to the next period, which is the Roman Greece era, and this is where the antiquity of virginity begins. During the Roman Greece era, people believe in goddess of virginity like Athena and Artemis because they represent purity. And besides, there is another god named Persephone. She has been known as she got virginity stolen. And because people believe in God, they also have a belief that woman who was no longer virgin or had broken her hymen before getting married seems to have committed a serious problem because they are no longer purity. And those who are no longer virgin will seem to be worthless, public shame, get kicked out from the house, or even dead in some cases. So in this period, it's more like where the word virginity begins, and people start to put more significance in it, even though the idea of virginity has been exist since the Stone Age. And since the Roman Greece period, the idea and belief of keeping virginity and the consequence of it has passed through the next generation, which is the early Christianity period. Moving on to the early Christianity, the Greeks' belief about virginity has been adapted in the form of writing to be more modern in this age. Some virgin equivalent words have been used and adapted but remain the same meaning. The new perception of the body and the self has emerged in this period of time. The Christian writings about virginity have been in the form of social, theological, and rhetorical. It reveals that virginity is meaningfulness. According to the evidence by the text, the authors during this age have the same point, claiming that sexual matters. The symbol of woman's body have been used a lot in this era. For example, the hymen was inspired, which leads to the idea about veiling closure or purity. Virginity and asceticism become a key way for women to achieve respect, because the culture at that time expressed male virtues as ideal. Asceticism was a way for women to have power in Christian church. The Christian theology in this era began to teach women about virginity, that the desire of sex and sexual relation led to sin, and the virginity was a pure and chaste way of perfection. Just like the Virgin Mary's role, which is similar to the Virgin Olympians in characterization, feminine passion beyond their control. They were not involved in any sexuality. So after the religions come in, the idea of worshipping virginity started to penetrate into Southeast Asia. And this source is from Mr. Allen in 1976. We found that the origin of worshipping virginity in Southeast Asia was rooted in Nepal during the Neva Kasta, and at that time people were looking for a pure young girl to become a god as a tool to restrain. So now you can see that the idea of believing in goddess of virginity still exists, and it has passed through since the Roman Greece era. And so the king had a command to find a virgin girl to become a god, or what they called Kumari. So Kumari just simply refer to the goddess of virginity, and it can also refer to a pure young girl. And people have faith that Kumari's blessing sustain peace and prosperity to the country. And next, we will go through the process of installing, where pure young girl can become a goddess for people to worship. And what they do is that the person who is responsible for this will select a girl by 32 physical perfection. And one importantly is that she is not yet at a stage of puberty or haven't started their menstruation yet. And once the girl was selected, some said that she either needed to stay in the dark room with sacred animal blood or with snake. So in this process, it still remained partly secretly. And if the girl can stay calm and brave enough, she will pass to the next steps. And once she becomes Kumari, she will stay in this position up until she reach her first menstruation. And this worship Kumari become a ritual. So Kumari usually sat at a throne that provided all day long allowed people to come and worship her. And some women come to worship to seek a cure for infertility, menstrual difficulties, and those with chronic hemorrhage or who habitually cut blood. And this ritual has been passed generation to generation, and in India nowadays still has Kumari and the ritual of worshipping virginity. So now let's answer how this idea of worshipping virginity take part or emerge into Southeast Asia. During the Neva region, the country was united, so everything was mixed together, both Hinduism and Buddhism. And here's the interview from Preeti, who is the ex-Kumari. She said that Hindus and Buddhists live together, so our traditions meet with their traditions. And therefore, the idea of worshipping virginity has been emerged into Southeast Asia by religions. And the belief has then been adapted to many countries in Southeast and probably been shaped over the era. So to sum up, the original idea of virginity in Southeast Asia is more likely to see as a stage before puberty, rather than the loss of chastity or having sex, which is the belief that more common in the West. And however, the indigenous of worshipping virginity probably began since Homo sapiens, and then it developed and evolved over the period. And once there is a religions come in, the belief has been shaped by many factors, and people started to have faith in the goddess of virginity, which then this idea of worshipping the goddess still passed down to nowadays.
For intention of making. During ancient times, people were in the period of patriarchal societies, the social system where men are the major power in the role of political leadership, moral authority, social privilege, and control of property. This led to gender equality because there was a bias against women about human dignity. Women were treated as a second-class citizens. The concept of virginity was first introduced by religious groups to highlighting and advocating women for purity. So, that makes people think that virgin woman is an untouched girl. It keeps women away from risk of sexual harassment or abuse in the society. When we value the concept of virginity, it perpetuates the notion that women are mere property, said by Shannon 2018.
How does this cultural belief create a sense of belonging? According to the intention of the concept of virginity, which was designed and invented to uplift women's value, so that they are not treated as second-class citizens. The sense of belonging was created since the women get a sense of that they are a treasure, which means that they are valuable, and men are proud of their own treasure. Therefore, it's a win-win situation for both men and women. Besides, the concept also provides other advantages to society. To preserve their virginity before marriage is one of the ways to make sure that the couple will be together until they are gray and old. Moreover, the idea also affects in the less number of people infected with sexually transmitted diseases and teenage pregnancy. In addition, this concept of virginity has been rooted in many cultural ceremonies and traditions in Southeast Asia. That is why this idea is still actively believed in this region.
If you look into various virginity beliefs in Southeast Asia, one thing they have in common is the concept of masculine and feminine. Feminine portrays women with sweetness, gentleness, passivity, and kind. Women have been viewed as weaker and more vulnerable gender. And since women are the one who gives birth, the concept of gentlemen, men should honor women, and men should sacrifice, then came along with the cultures that worship virginity. Women in Muslim countries such as Brunei, Malaysia, and Indonesia were expected to keep their virginity until marriage. In Islamic society, virginity is a sign of purity and innocence. Islamic individuals believe that God places a lot of modesty in women than men. Men are known in terms of a zikr, and they must learn how to control themselves and overcome lusty desires, while women are known as beauty. Most people were misunderstanding about Muslim women wearing hijab. Hijab is not a sign of virginity, but is for a woman to appear in a decent covering and protect them from harassment. In Brunei, they have a culture that during the wedding ceremony, the groom's family will ask the bride to prepare a traditional dish called kuipayaram. It represents a sign of virginity. If the bride is failed, people will assume that she is no longer a virgin and the wedding will be cancelled. In Christianity, the virgin refers to an unmarried person who never had sexual intercourse before. They believe that sex between husband and wife is a giving, while outside marriage is considered a sin. Christians in Vietnam also have a ceremony that honors the Virgin with flowers, songs, and dances during May, which dedicated to the mother of Jesus, Mary. Vietnamese compare virginity to flowers, red for sacrifice, yellow for love, white for virginity, purple for loyalty, and green for hope. In Buddhism, people should overcome sexual obsession and be kind. The precepts are required to avoid sexual obsession. If not, we are not different from other species that have law instincts. If people behave morally and consciously, their life will be valuable and higher than other animals. While adolescents are dependent on parents or unmarried, adolescents must overcome their sexual obsession to keep virginities and reserve and control themselves. After marriage, the couple must sleep with each other only, no cheating. Since agriculture was a major carrier of Thai people, most of the beliefs will be related to weather. Pak Tarkai or planted the lemongrass is the common popular ceremony believed to stop or postpone the rain. People believe that God will be angry when humans do things that are abnormal. This ceremony needs a virgin woman to plant the lemongrass upside down by putting the leaf into the soil, and the rain will stop or postpone. There is no real evidence where the myths come from, but it shows that virginity is highly valued in Thai society. Women would preserve themselves, women are still virgin, are flawless, and ceremonies with the supernatural power, God, should be only with purity. It seems more like a strategy of the ancient Thai people who want their children to preserve themselves. This strategy follows the Buddhist concept, which is preserving oneself.
In conclusion, overall, as we did our research, we can see and understand that religion plays a big role in the society from the past until nowadays. People tend to fear uncertainty, so they came up with beliefs or ideas that phrase God and nature to keep them away from death. The way their family teaches is shaping how they live in the society. The Western and Eastern lifestyles and cultures are totally different because of their religions and beliefs. There is some evidence that proves that Western also worshipped virginity, but then they changed. On the other hand, Eastern countries, especially in Southeast Asia, are more strict about virginity because they adapted into each country lifestyles and beliefs. That is, every country has the same root that women should worship their virgin, but this belief can be slightly changed or expressed in different ways according to their backgrounds, economics, religions, and geography. Nowadays, media became part of our life, which means that people in Eastern receive media that show the Western lifestyle, whether movies, series, photos, or advertisements. Some part of media show how they portray love, so people in Eastern countries, especially teenagers, are getting some ideas that are clashing with their root cultures. but they still practice things the way their country did to avoid conflicts. Moreover, scientific evidence became factors that prove that some beliefs are wrong. So people started to wonder what they should stick with between their beliefs or science evidence. In this case, scientists believe that women may lose their virginity before having sex with their partner or some other reason. But some group of people may believe that women will lose their virginity and purity while having first-time sex. All in all, each country in Southeast Asia has a different background, for instance, religion, but the authenticity of the virginity belief is rooted in each country or culture. The concept is expressed in various ways to fit their culture's background. However, the intention of having this concept was not to devalue women, but instead to embrace and respect the value of women.